Audible, but I have started the meeting now.
Okay. So hello everyone. Just one more time, I want a confirmation that my screen is visible and I'm audible, right?
I can see your screen and you're audible as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So, good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to this exclusive webinar. And this today's webinar topic is about the role of AI in drug development and how it is transforming your career. So, let me tell you some short introductory part about me. So, my name is Gayatri Shardul, and I'm the director of Kittal Talent Works. And I have more than 16 years of experience in transforming careers in clinical domain. And I have personally guided and supported more than 5,000 individuals who are a part of industry. So mainly they are from entry level, matlab they are freshers also, and some are from like working professionals. So they have management level of role across the globe. And I'm honored to be the I'm going to talk about Kittal and some introductory part. And we have second speaker, Piyush Rajput. So he'll more guide you about what is the role of clinical research and AI, how we are implementing into that. Okay. So I'm truly delighted to see there are many participants. They are still joining, but I can see you guys are from different background. Okay. So one of the most powerful shifts happening, in the industry, as you know, like in the life science sector and healthcare sector. So we are going to talk about this. And this special webinar is proudly powered by Kittal Talent Works Private Limited and Kite AI Technologies. So these are the two different organizations. You can also visit www.kittle.in and www.kite-ai.com. So these are organizations and committed the advancing talent technologies and innovation within the clinical, healthcare, and biotech sectors. Their vision to empower the next generation of the professionals align with the perfectly with today's discussion. So, as we all know, artificial intelligence is no longer in a distinct and concept. It is actively accelerating in different things like, firstly, clinical research, drug discovery, and optimizing clinical trials, and also enhancing decision making and the opening entirely new pathways for professionals across the pharma, biotech industry, and clinical research sector, pharmaceutical sector, data sciences, healthcare, and analytics. So today we will dive how exactly AI means artificial intelligence is reshaping the industry, and importantly how it is reshaping the careers. So whether you are a fresher, I can see like we have a mixed crowd today, freshers also and working professionals also. So whether you are fresher or working professionals or someone exploring a transition into this rapidly evolving field, and this webinar will give you more clarity, more insights, and inspiration and opportunities ahead. So thank you for joining us today. Let us begin this exciting journey into the future of drug development and career transformation. So today's webinar, of course, after attending this session, we'll have Q&A session. Okay. So we will conclude with the dedicated 15 minutes, last 15 minutes for about question and answers things. And all participants will receive e-certificate of the participation. And of course, you will get that e-certificate on your registered email ID, and that too in next 7 working days. Okay. So I hope you will attend the entire session, and by end of the session we'll have a Q&A. So that is how. And about the next thing about the agenda. So before we dive deeper, let me walk you around this, like what we are going to cover today. So we have designed the webinar to give you complete end-to-end understanding about AI and how it is reshaping the world and drug development, and how you can position yourself to grow with it. So to start with, we will begin by exploring Kittle Talent Works and KITI. There are two organizations powering this exclusive session and driving innovation in the talent development and AI solutions. So we'll simplify what AI is truly means artificial intelligence truly is, and break down the concepts. Okay, you will understand step by step the concept behind it, and you will get the clarification about the technology trends also influencing healthcare and pharma today. So you will get the insights how AI is accelerating discovery, then improving clinical research and transforming the key processes across the different sectors. And this segment focuses on the evolving career landscape. Okay, so you will understand the different new roles, new expectations, and new opportunities emerging because of AI. So we will discuss practical steps. You can take the upskill transition and become a truly industry-ready professional in AI-driven era. And you will also learn that how Kittle it supports individual in building their relevant skills and gaining real-world exposure in this rapidly changing environment. And finally, we will also share with you inspiring real examples of our professionals and who have transformed their careers with the support of Kittle. So let me tell you about Kittle. So you will glad to know that over the past 5 years, okay, Kittle Talent Works Private Limited has evolved into a powerful catalyst for career transformation within the life sciences, healthcare, even clinical research and technology ecosystem. So, what began as a mission to bridge the gap between academic learning and real industry expectation has now grown into a dynamic talent enablement platform. So, as you know, like trusted professionals होते हैं, students and organization alike. So, during these 5 years, okay, Kittle has trained and mentored thousands of aspiring professionals. So there are many professionals, like even freshers and professionals. So we help them to transition confidently into different roles across clinical research. There are many verticals, as you know, after graduation, post graduation, even your working professionals. So multiple sectors are there, like clinical research, pharmacovigilance, then clinical data management, regulatory affairs, medical writing, healthcare analytics. That means clinical trial data analytics. So we build their career. We build strong partnership with the industry leaders, ensuring that every learner gains not just theoretical knowledge, but real world insight into how the industry operates. So introduce cutting edge the skill development programs aligned with the emerging technologies, especially AI, statistical programming, machine learning, and data driven healthcare solution, and created a unique ecosystem and learning mentorship and placements. So we delivered almost like consistent success stories. You can also check on our LinkedIn, Instagram, other social media handles to understand the different activities we did in the past and our success stories also. So with learners securing roles across contract research organizations, means CROs, then pharmaceutical companies, healthcare startups, and global analyticals organizations. So in this journey, Kittle has not just focused on the education, it has also focused on the empowerment, helping people evolve into confident, capable, and industry ready professionals. So generally, एक freshers को जो challenge आते हैं, I'm using this bilingual language because there are many freshers also and working people also. So as you know, like एक individual और एक institute और इन इंडस्ट्री इसमें जो गैप होता है, वी आर ब्रीजिंग द गैप बिटवीन इंडस्ट्री एंड इंडिविजुअल. So Kittle has become the first choice for many leading pharmaceutical companies and global CROs when it comes to hiring for the key development, drug development roles. So it may be related to clinical research, operations, जैसे आपको पता होगा clinical research coordinators, clinical data management, pharmacovigilance, statistical programming, data analysis, and so many different verticals or roles. So recruiters, they do reach out to us and recruit our students directly from us. The only reason is behind that we are focusing on different, four different unique aspects. So generally, as you know, like fresher, जो एक fresher होता है, you have education, you have degree, and even आप graduation के बाद post graduation भी करते हो, but industry demands something extra from every fresher. They just don't need fresher. They want somebody who is having, past experience, or somebody who worked on a project, somebody who is ready for the industry, who can work directly on the projects. So we are basically focusing on TIER. So let me tell you what is TIER. TIER methodology हमारा है किटल का, किटल टैलेंट वर्क्स का. So TIER methodology means we train fresher. अगर कोई एक fresher candidate है, so we are going to train that fresher, or we are going to train in such a way whatever industry is demanding right now in the market. So we are going to train. So training is basically learning on current and future industry technologies. And then second aspect is tier ka I stands for interaction. So we are basically interacting with the top industry experts and subject matter experts. And then TIER. So third E, it stands for experience. So providing experience through hands-on exposure and live project work. Because without practical exposure, आपका जो नॉलेज है, जो लर्निंग प्रोसेस है, दैट इज एक्चुअली not 100%, just 50%. You are learning theoretical aspects, but you are not implementing practically. तो उसका कोई मतलब नहीं बनता है. That's the reason we are giving you experience also, and ensuring continuous revision. Because सिर्फ एक बार अगर आप कोई एक्सपेरिमेंट करते हो तो या फिर प्रैक्टिकल करते हो, तो यू वोंट बी एबल टू यू नो एक बार करने से फिर बाद में थोड़ा गैप आ गया तो आपको याद नहीं आता. यू कैन नॉट अंडरस्टैंड द कंसेप्ट्स क्लियरली. सो कंसिडरिंग दैट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, वी हैव also added multiple revisions. So we are focusing on that, and revision build your confidence also. And that's how we are focusing on these different aspects: train, interact, experience, and revision. So this is our methodology in Kittel. So our growth is as a result, if you see, systematic planning, structured learning framework, tireless dedication, and of course efforts like जो आपके ऊपर लेते हैं subject matter experts, trainers, the mentors. They all are from industry. They are all from have similar domain, or they are into industry from long time. So they are going to share their experiences with you. So industry interaction is also important. So, of course, these things we do, and that's the reason recruiters wants to recruit our students from the, you know, feeling their requirement. So, at Kittel Talent Works, our mission is to bridge the gap between the industry, individual, and institute. We transform enthusiastic learners into industry-ready professionals. So, firstly, educating them on real technical demands. Okay, then exposing them to the real world challenges through assignments and problem solving, empowering them for the industry standards and expectations, and enabling them with practical experience and employment opportunities. So yes, we do often feel like, it's like a magic. But we even best magic is the result of commitment. Of course, you need to put your commitment when once you take the program in Kittel, you need to give your best. And it's not like a आपने किया है enroll Kittel के programs में and you will get a job for sure. It's not just like a magic. You need to put your efforts, consistent efforts, continuous practice you have to do, and that is what exactly Kittel defines. So let me tell you about journey of Kittel. So journey of Kittel is something very exciting. So what began as a strategic initiative under KITI Technologies in September 2020 as today, and in 2025 grown into a proud and independent entity, Kittel Talent Works Private Limited. So our mission is very clear: to enable talent and emerging technologies, reshaping their careers and bridging the gap between individual and industry and innovation. So with the focus of all these aspects, especially in clinical research and drug development industry. So over the years, Kittle has transformed more than 3,000 plus, careers, achieved an average placements package, students जो भी place हुए हैं, they got average starting package 6 lakh per annum, built a strong reputation for the developing industry ready professionals equipped for the future healthcare and technology. And this is the only beginning. You don't have to take our word for, you can visit our LinkedIn page to get the idea about our success stories. You are welcome to reach out to us of any, you can talk to our past placed alumni to take their feedback, and you will get, obviously will get the idea about how they started their journey and now they're working professionals. So that transformation, you will get the better idea. So this is all about Kittle journey so far. So let me tell you what we, uh, the Kittle and our impact speaks about ourselves. And there are around 72 recruiters actively hiring our talent across pharmaceutical companies, global CROs, and healthcare organization. 3,000 plus careers we transformed. So, with learners stepping into high value roles across the clinical and tech ecosystem, 6 plus industry leaders and subject matter experts contributing directly to our learning content, capabilities development, continuous program enhancement, genuine anytime, anywhere learning approach. So, if you see, learning management system is very strong, ensuring the flexibility and you can connect from anywhere. So, without compromising quality, of course, then authentic work experience you will get and documentation, because it's like very important having authentic experience. बहुत सारे लोग है ना, they just learns from somewhere else and they add fake experiences. But ultimately when you go to interview, the interviewer will understand कि ये रियल में इसने काम किया है कैंडिडेट ने, और एल्स फेक एक्सपीरियंस ऐड किया है. So that is important part. So we believe in genuine work experience, and of course documentation is on a top priority thing, because that is very important. So on through live projects you will expose, you will get the exposure on a multiple projects, and giving learners a real taste of the industry challenges and workflows. So programs designed for today and tomorrow because it's just not for today, it's all about future also. Built not just for current job demands but also future evolution, जो भी इंडस्ट्री इवॉल्व हो रही है. जैसे आज कोई टेक्नोलॉजी है, फ्यूचर में जो कोई टेक्नोलॉजी आएगी, सो वी आर ब्रिजिंग दैट रिक्वायरमेंट. मतलब जो एक अभी जो टूल है, जैसे यू विल अंडरस्टैंड इन कमिंग स्लाइड्स, आवर स्पीकर विल टेल यू अबाउट how industry is changing, how which tools industry they are started using in the clinical research or healthcare industry. So you will understand that. So we are focusing on today as well as tomorrow. Will make you job ready for today's requirement, and of course future ready also we are making you. So at Kittle we don't just train industry individuals, we shape industry ready professionals who stand out, stay relevant, and lead the future healthcare and technology. So I would like to ask Piyush to guide you more about this artificial intelligence topic.
Thank you so much, Gayatri, for asking me to give insights about artificial intelligence. Although, let me take this opportunity to introduce myself and welcome myself. So, my name is Piyush, and I am the CEO and Managing Director of Kite AI Technologies Private Limited. I come from almost a background, a variety of backgrounds. I have worked in timeshare, I have worked in banking and insurance, and I have worked in learning and development. Past 12 years, I have been into clinical industry now, specifically into clinical research, trial, data analytics, and machine learning and AI. So I'm the captain of the ship, and thank you so much, Gayatri, for taking us through to the Kittle capability and the accolades that we have achieved in past 5 years. So, guys, I hope I'm audible, and I hope you are able to, because I'm just going to be sharing my screen. So, Gayatri, you can stop sharing your screen. Let me go ahead and share my screen so that it will be convenient for me to simply guide it through.
Sure, sure.
Okay, so I hope you guys are able to see my screen and I'm audible loud and clear.
Yes.
Okay, great. So guys, today why we are talking about artificial intelligence? Because we love gossiping. As a human nature, we are very much into gossiping. Uh, why we do gossiping? We do gossiping when we have unknown facts or we have incomplete information. So let's talk about career. Now, when we talk about career, when we nobody gives an importance to upskilling. So let's say if I am a fresher, अगर मैं एक fresher हूँ, with your I'm not sure that what would be the language choice, but primarily I'm going to stick to English, and if wherever possible, I will try and break down in Hindi as well, just to have kind of a feel or kind of a belongingness to the content. So when we talk about career, as a fresher, we do not feel the importance of upskilling. But the skill parameters and the technology keeps on evolving. Every 10 years, there will be some or the other technology which will be evolving. Unfortunately, there is a large gap between what we are being taught at the colleges, because colleges teach us to the skill set which does not make us industry ready. It makes us padha likha. It gives us a degree, but not a mastery to work and get started with a job. And that's where the employment comes into the picture. The worst part is that during our education, we are not never ever told the importance of upskilling. We are always so many kitne examples dekhe. I have seen various examples wherein B Pharma says that I'm going to do M Pharma. So B Pharma ke baad question mark to tha hi. They simply went ahead with M Pharma. Then again, there is a question mark. Then after M-Pharma, they will come back and they will say, I will do MBA, because that's what my faculties have been saying. So your faculties have been saying in the first year that you should do B-Pharma. Then after that, just for the sake that the seats get fulfilled, they will say M-Pharma. And then after M-Pharma, nothing happens. Then you will do doctorate, then postdoctorate. Then eventually, I don't know. Most of the people get divert towards different courses or different, career avenues in government services and all, which is okay. I'm absolutely fine with it. But while you are having your own journey in terms of career, you need to have an understanding that आप ही नहीं हो, पूरा वर्ल्ड जो है वो कुछ टेक्नोलॉजी एंड कुछ अपग्रेड्स अपना रहा है, and artificial is one such upgrade. Now, what is artificial intelligence? If I have to say in a very basic language, then basically artificial intelligence is the ability of machines or computer systems to perform a task on their own. Earlier, if you remember, not earlier, rather, I would say that if you remember that there are many tasks today which are being Instagram, for an example, the recommendations, the suggestions, right? If you have, you just voice over something, आप कुछ भी बोल के देखो, you will also automatically start getting the recommendation. SH256 algorithm पीछे चलता रहता है. So what is all this? This is artificial intelligence. Why do we need artificial intelligence? Because सबसे बड़ी चीज है that manual efforts take time. Second, manual efforts are costly. And third, to err is human. गलती करना human की सबसे बड़ी एक प्रवृत्ति है, which is okay. You learn from the mistakes. But what if we do not commit mistakes at the very first point in time? It will help you save time. It will help you save money. It will help you save energy, which indirectly is going to contribute to your bottom line. आपका 10 लोगों का काम करने का 10 लोग अगर काम करेंगे और उसकी जगह अगर कोई एक सिस्टम काम करेगा, एक्यूरेसी एट 97%, वेयर इज 10 लोगों की एक्यूरेसी इज अराउंड 60%, देन प्रैक्टिकली विच वन यू आर गोइंग टू which approach you are going to adapt? It will be the adaptation in terms of the system which is doing zero errors, or rather the chances of errors is hardly 3%, and the time taken is almost half. Right? So therefore, what is happening with the artificial intelligence in the industry? So artificial intelligence is the ability of machines or computer systems to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence. Right? Intelligence is generally human being की है, because AI बनाता कौन है? The backend, the technology is all your human intelligence. This includes learning from the data. For an example, आपका कोई data आ गया. So data से आप क्या सीखते हो? Data से आप pattern सीखते हो. Data will help you to come to a decision, to a conclusion, make a kind of a strategy, right? It will help you to recognize the patterns. For an example, what is the kind of temperature? What will be the lowest temperature? What will be the highest temperature as of 16th of November 2025? So what I'll do, I will probably have a trend analysis. I will recognize the pattern that in past 100 years, whatever the data that has been recorded, what has been the precipitation level, what has been the humidity level, what has been the kind of maximum temperature on this day in the year 2020, then in 1920, then in 1940s, then in 1960s. So accordingly, what will happen? I will be able to realize the patterns and the trends and should be able to come up with a conclusion, should be able to come up with a statement. Similarly, in terms of clinical trials, I'm coming up with a generic medicine. I probably need to, file an application to the regulator. Then what has been the success ratio of these medicines with same pharmacology in the past? कितना सक्सेस रेशियो रहा है, उनके इलेक्ट्रॉनिक हेल्थ रिकॉर्ड्स पास डेटा क्या कहते हैं, ऑल दैट ट्रेंड आई कैन सिंपली एनालाइज एंड सी व्हाट विल बी द सक्सेस रेशियो ऑफ माय प्रोडक्ट व्हिच विल बी लॉन्च्ड इन द market. So AI helps you do that. AI helps you to save time. AI helps you to save money. AI helps you to save energy. It never ever will replace human being. Please remember, AI is not something which is going to replace the human being. It is going to replace the resource who is not capable to supervise the AI. ठीक है, आपकी ऑटो ड्राइविंग कार ऑटोमेटिकली ड्राइविंग कार आएगी, बट वहां पे आपका जो ड्राइवर, द पर्सन हु इज प्रॉब्ली the driver, he probably would be replaced, but there will be traffic signals, there will be monitors, there will be people who will be actually supervising this every cab. तो हो सकता है that automatic जो cars चलती हैं वो cars में ड्राइवर की जरूरत ना हो, but there will be one specific team driver who will be probably keeping an eye from a central monitoring team and seeing कि कौन सी कार कैसा चल रही है, किसको एड्रेस करने की जरूरत है, कौन कहीं स्टक है. So there will be jobs, but the jobs will be evolved over a period of time. So whether you are looking for a job in clinical data management, whether you are looking for a job in clinical research, whether you are looking for a job in statistical programming, whether you are looking for a job in regulatory affairs, whether you are looking for a job in clinical project coordination, these all things are evolving. क्यों? क्योंकि कंपनी को बचाना है, पैसा जल्दी डिलीवर करना है और एफिशिएंटली डिलीवर करना है. फॉर दैट दे आर गोइंग टू इंट्रोड्यूस द सॉफ्टवेयर्स. And never ever in the history, whenever there has been an intelligence which has been incorporated in the domain or in any industry, it has reduced the number of jobs. I still remember 1992-1994 के बीच में when there was a core banking solution which was introduced in State Bank of India, in Indian banking system. Everybody said कि ये कंप्यूटर से कुछ नहीं होगा. There were simply, इतने सारे लोग जमीन एम्प्लॉइज आके बैठे थे, हमारी नौकरी चली जाएगी, बट हमारे को जॉब नहीं मिलेगा, लोगों का फ्यूचर है, डेटा ब्रीच हो जाएगा, ये वो जमाने भर के उन्होंने जितना चीज बोल सकते थे उन्होंने किया. बट लुक एट टुडे, in 2025 state bank of India is 15 lakh crore, right? और आपका 1992-1996 में, but there has been technological advancements. 1992 में जितने बैंक्स है उससे ज्यादा बैंक्स हैं, उतने उससे ज्यादा सॉफ्टवेयर यूज हो रहे हैं, तो काम कहाँ गया? So first of all, automation opens the avenues. Artificial intelligence eases those avenues and it creates opportunities for the people to be a part of this industry. So let's talk about the artificial intelligence in detail. I'll just go one by one with the slide. Okay. So what basically artificial intelligence is? In simple terms, if I have to tell you that artificial intelligence helps machine. Okay, so artificial intelligence अपने आप में कोई एक कोर्स नहीं है. You need to understand one thing, that it is not a course in itself. For an example, people will say, sir, मेरे को artificial intelligence in clinical research पढ़ा दो. So clinical research अपने आप में एक set of practices, there are set of guidelines, there are set of processes, there are set of theoretical knowledge skill sets, and there are set of documentation and industry standards that you should be aware of. So clinical research अपने आप में it is a set of practices. Similarly, when I say artificial intelligence is a set of practices. It is a set of using different softwares and techniques which collectively forms this concept of artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence, if you have to enable a machine to think on its own, then the machine should be, first of all, should be able to analyze the data on its own. It should be able to train itself on the data. It should be able to decide in itself. It should be able to help us in decision making. So ये सब capability आपको एक machine को देनी पड़ती है, और ये कैसे दोगे? There are multiple techniques that we use to build an ecosystem of artificial intelligence. Okay, so artificial intelligence is basically an activity wherein, or it is a set of practices and procedures wherein we help machines to learn and act like humans, or rather better than humans in terms of speed, accuracy and scale. You can process, हर कोई तो प्रोसेसिंग की स्पीड ज्यादा नहीं रहती है, बट मशीन को जब आप ट्रेन करते हो, उसको केपेबल बनाते हो, जब उसको डेवलप करते हो, then certainly it is something which is called as artificial intelligence. For an example, you take thousands of patient records in clinical trial phase 3. You have 5,000, 6,000, 10,000 global level trials, multi-regional clinical trials, MRCTs जिनको हम बोलते हैं, right? So you get thousands of patient records and you ask a computer, if I am using artificial intelligence, I would simply say that, Mr. Computer, please identify which individuals are at the risk of developing a disease. Which individuals are at a risk of developing a disease? So what it will predict? It will, if I use a traditional technique wherein I do not use a software, wherein I do not use an AI, what I will do, I will, in traditional, it will define the studies patterns, it will understand the relationship, concomitant medication देखेगा, trend देखेगा, and predict who may be at higher risk, और उसके हिसाब से आपको बता देगा. But what if I use artificial intelligence? Then the data will have its own, the machine will have its own capability to capture the data, to process the data, to create the visualizations and come up with a kind of a ecosystem or come up with a kind of a mechanism wherein it can predict कि हाँ ये है या ये नहीं है. आप लेंस कार्ट में जाइए, कौन सा चश्मा आपके चेहरे के हिसाब से अच्छा लगेगा. आपका चेहरा, आपने डेटा फीड कर दिया, उसने बैकएंड में अपना सब सजेशन निकाला, आपको सजेस्ट कर दिया. You go to Netflix, how do you get Netflix recommendations? It is the same mechanism at the end, because what they do, जितना आपका ये बैकएंड में जितना आप करते रहोगे, जितने लोग इस एआई मैकेनिज्म को एक्सेस करेंगे, एआई उतना पक्का होता जाएगा. एआई लर्न्स फ्रॉम इटसेल्फ. द मोर डेटा, हम बोलते हैं ना चैट जीपीटी में, आप जितना सर्च मारोगे, जितना रिफाइन करते जाओगे, इट इज लर्निंग, वो ट्रेनिंग डेटा सेट उतना ज्यादा करता जा रहा है. So whether AI means that it is only applicable in terms of data analytics or nowhere else? No, guys. Data analytics at this point of time, the most important element on this earth, which every company wants to have their hands on, is data. Because if you have data, you can predict. If you can predict, you can sell. If you can sell, you can make revenue. If you can make revenue, you will make profitability. If you get profitability, you will take every measure to use the technological advancement and go to the customer first again, so that you make more profit. Right? So data is in the center. Clinical research करते हो तो आप clinical trial का data इकट्ठा करते हो. Pharmacovigilance करते हो तो आप active surveillance, passive surveillance, observational studies करके क्या करते हो? Pharmacovigilance, post marketing surveillance का data इकट्ठा करते हो. Right? तो ये क्या है? Data is most important. And what you do with this data? You manage the data by the clinical data management team. You analyze the data by the statistical programming team. You review this data. So everything revolves around data. And artificial intelligence का सबसे पहला step as a kind of a foundation, पेड़ की जड़ कहाँ है? Data. Because if it has data, it can structure the data. It can capture the unstructured data. It can do everything, right? So that is what the basic foundation of AI is, data. So what we do in artificial intelligence, it's wherein the AI, we enable the machine to take decision on its own, act like a human, but with better accuracy, better speed, and better scale that humans can do. And that will help us save money, time, energy, and that will make us more compliant. Okay. Now, let's move ahead and talk about a bit of a history. So basically, artificial intelligence कोई नई चीज नहीं है. It dates back to 1950s. It was in 1950s that the idea of AI was incorporated. It basically started as a kind of a thought process by Alan Turing, who said whether machine will be able to think like a human being. That's when the artificial intelligence started. Back then, computers could not solve solve tiny math problem or play simple ping pong, right? If you are going through any of the Instagrams earlier, जो अगर आपको recommendations आते हैं, the one of the earliest game that probably which can be played over a machine which was almost 4 foot width was that big. You could play ping pong. Right? Ping pong, वो ball रहती है, दो रहते हैं, आजू बाजू you can play ping pong or Pac-Man you have seen, right? So in 1950s, to that level, to that technological advancement, the computers could only solve the tiny maths problem, addition, subtraction, and all those things. Maybe some statistical analysis, tiny statistical parts, and play some of the games. But 1960s and 1970s, it was the first time when scientists began building early brain-like models. they started playing around with the rule-based systems. Rule-based systems मतलब अगर ये है, if the value falls between this, then it will be segregated to this particular decision making. If the rule-based falls, if the rule-based the data, for an example, if I say that I am conducting a clinical trial, under a clinical trial, there is an inclusion criteria, there is an exclusion criteria. Now, under inclusion criteria, there are criteria related to the age, the ethnicity, and everything. And then under exclusion criteria, there are concomitant medication, past health records and conditions, and any other factors which are there. Now, when I input the data, when I make an entry, the first data validation or the rule will be whether it is as per the inclusion criteria. If it meets all the characters, if it meets all the requirement, then the next step will be it is going to recheck its data with whether they are meeting all the criteria, any of the or all or any of the criteria from the exclusion criteria. So despite if the data that we have entered is meeting every requirement from the inclusion criteria, if it meets any requirement or any statement from the exclusion criteria, it will not be part, and it will be say, sorry, the error will come that the patient cannot be enrolled into the clinical trials due to the error, this, as per this exclusion criteria, right? आप डेट के सेक्शन में टाइम एंटर करो, टाइम के सेक्शन में डेट एंटर करो. What is that? It is again a rule based setting that you do. इलेक्ट्रॉनिक एडिट चेक्स जिसको हम बोलते हैं, जब आप डेटा मैनेजमेंट पढ़ते हो तो वन ऑफ द बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस इन टर्म्स ऑफ डेटा एनोनिमाइजेशन एंड वैलिडेशन इज इलेक्ट्रॉनिक एडिट चेक्स, which is machine की खुद की capability to check whether the entry made is validated, whether the entry made is in the specific format that it should be acceptable by the regulator. So all those things when you study clinical data management में जब आप पढ़ते हो तो उस समय पढ़ते हैं, हम आगे एक्सपीरियंस करते हैं, प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, प्रोजेक्ट्स करते हैं. बट जस्ट सो इट वाज इन 1960s एंड 70s जब ये आपका स्मार्ट रूल बेस्ड इकोसिस्टम चालू हुआ. फॉर एग्जांपल, कंप्यूटर जो बोल सकता था कि यू हैव कोल्ड बेस्ड ऑन द फ्यू सिस्टम्स, early detection warning sign, right? In 1980s, everything got excited about AI. क्यों? Because companies used it for their decision making. It was in early 1980s. आप IBM का नाम सुनोगे, इंटरनेशनल बिजनेस मशीन्स हो गया, जो आपके बहुत सारी चीजें निकल गई, बहुत सारी कंपनीज wherein they started using AI to make decisions. And how did they used to make decisions? For an example, banks, they used AI to decide someone should get a loan or not. उसकी क्रेडिट रेटिंग, उसका क्रेडिट पैटर्न, उसके क्रेडिट हिस्ट्री पूरी चेक होती थी. और ये कहां से आती थी? ये आती थी बेसिकली पूरे हिस्टोरिकल डेटा से, उस बंदे का पूरा पुराना डेटा, कहां से लोन लिया, कितने में चुकाया, कितने डिफॉल्ट्स थे, कितने क्लोज किए, कितने राइट ऑफ किए, एवरीथिंग, right? That is called as credit risk analysis. So it was the first time wherein data using the AI, not as an AI, but as kind of a decision support system, हमने सॉफ्टवेयर्स बनाए जो कि हमको डिसीजन मेकिंग में मदद करते थे, किस बंदे को रखना है, किस बंदे को ले जाना है, राइट? बट इट वाज टू एक्सपेंसिव. क्यों? क्योंकि बहुत ज्यादा प्रोग्रेस, बहुत ज्यादा प्रोसेस इवॉल्विंग, और कुछ बहुत ही कम लोग थे जो ये रूल्स एंड रिकमेंडेशंस और ये फॉर्मेट्स ड्रॉ कर सकते थे. इन 1990s इट वाज अगेन दैट द एआई कम्स बैक. तो तब तक आपने सुना होगा 1980s में एसएपी आ गया था, ऑल दोस थिंग्स, आईबीएम, ईआरपी, सिस्टम ओरिएंटेड आर्किटेक्चर, ये सब चीजें उस समय आपकी चालू हो गई थी. 1990s में AI makes a comeback when computers became faster, the processing speed became faster, it became cheaper, there was a disruption. 1992 में तो इंडिया में भी ओपन मार्केट हो गया था, आपका कंप्यूटर्स आने लगे थे, ऑटोमेशन चालू हो गया था, right? We were accepting the computer and the technology with open hands, राजीव गांधी जी के समय से, right? So then it becomes more capable. In 2000, AI extended itself, and companies like Google, right, they came into the picture wherein they started tracking, integrating, giving solutions, making people life easier. और अब 2020s में जो आ गया है, that is generative AI. हमने agentic AI, generative AI, hard AI, soft AI, ये अलग अलग तरीके के AI हैं. सो अभी हम फिलहाल हार्ड AI में नहीं है, मतलब एकदम फुल ऑन ऑटोमेटिक, भाई अपना खुद से आदमी वो कर रहा है, नहीं. We are somewhere in agentic AI, Gen AI, generative AI. We are somewhere on the software side of AI. We have a long way to go even in AI. अभी भी आपको अगर डेटा एंटर करने के लिए, डेटा कैप्चर करने के लिए एक प्लेटफॉर्म चाहिए जहां पे एक बंदा पंच करेगा तभी डेटा एंटर होगा. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि अपने आप डेटा आ जाएगा. There are things which can be done, but not entirely manually. So that is about the history of AI. Okay. Now, AI जो है, as I said, that it is a set of practices. AI का सबसे पहला basis होता है, that is data. Okay, and for data we use few techniques which are called as machine learning. What is machine learning? AI अपने आप से तो डिसीजन लेता है, बट AI कैसे डिसीजन लेता है? वो सबसे पहले डेटा प्रोसेस करता है, वो डेटा जो उसके अंदर फीड किया गया है उसको एनालाइज करता है. So if I feed a data of a trial participant into a software, ठीक है, तो if AI has to say whether this trial participant can be enrolled or not, so सबसे पहले AI को क्या चाहिए? AI को चाहिए डेटा. डेटा ऑफ whom? ट्रायल पार्टिसिपेंट. तो वो जाएगा. क्या एक ही ट्रायल पार्टिसिपेंट है? नहीं, बहुत सारे ट्रायल पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं. देयर आर मेनी ट्रायल पार्टिसिपेंट्स. So every data will be basically entered into the system. Then AI, because it will use machine learning. What is machine learning? Machine learning is an integral part of AI. It is something where, wherein it helps the data to be analyzed using different statistical methodologies and algorithms, and it helps to train the entire ecosystem in terms of data. Right? आपने इंग्लिश कैसे सीखी? आपने पहले मराठी सीखी होगी, हिंदी सीखी होगी, फिर एक्सपोजर मिला इंग्लिश को, आपने ग्रामर सीखा, आर्टिकल सीखा, टेंसेस सीखा, धीमे धीमे आप ट्रेन कर करके, बात कर करके यू गॉट ट्रेन्ड. दैट इज हाउ दी इवन द मशीन लर्निंग enables AI to do that. It gives you the structured data, it gives you the opportunity to manage data, then it gives you to train the data. How AI conditional values क्या होनी चाहिए, कौन से algorithms के हिसाब से basically recommendations आने चाहिए, how it should work, then training the data set, and then finally making a conclusion. So backend में जितना भी आपका data analytics and entire this function चलता है, data science and machine learning, वो होता है machine learning. Playing around with the data and using the data for analyzing, using the data for predicting, using the data for training, and using the data for supervised and unsupervised outcomes is basically machine learning. Think of AI is a big umbrella. अगर आपका AI एक बहुत बड़ा umbrella है that covers anything that makes machines act smart. हमारे पास एक AI करके एक जादू है, हम किसी भी मशीन पे डालेंगे और वो एकदम जीवित हो जाएगा. It will become, because of that magic, it will start taking decision on its own, right? Then machine learning is the most important branch of AI. So for an example, if somebody wants to make a career in data analysis, okay, it's okay. You can make a career in data analysis. Now, data analysis is also divided into data analytics, machine learning, data science, data visualization, and all those things. जो हम इसमें नहीं जाएंगे. But machine learning is an advanced level. For an example, even in clinical, when you do SAS, when you use R, you are doing advanced statistical analysis. It is as good as you are finding the statistical means, median, modes, frequencies, CIs, and all those things in using SAS. Right? Now, if I use AI, if I use a few of the programs, if I write few of the programs, standard programs, in case of, let's say, आपका, so that what we are doing again and again in SAS, it can be done on Python. अगर मैंने ऐसा कुछ बना दिया, so then certainly it becomes a part of machine learning and it enables the software to be at a AI level. Okay, so that is your machine learning. AI is the goal to make machines intelligent, and machine learning is the method to help machines learn the data. AI is the goal. मैंने आपसे बोला AI अपने आप में एक टेक्नोलॉजी. आप AI सीख नहीं सकते. आप AI करने के लिए आपका, फॉर एन एग्जाम्पल, आपको क्लिनिकल रिसर्च कोऑर्डिनेटर बनना है, ठीक है, तो आप पढ़ोगे क्लिनिकल रिसर्च. क्लिनिकल रिसर्च के फंडामेंटल्स, एथिक्स, प्रिंसिपल्स, मॉरल्स, आपका प्रैक्टिस सब एक सा रहेगा. इट विल बी ऑल सेम. बट हाउ ऑटोमेशन इज हैपनिंग, फॉर एन एग्जाम्पल, पहले आपके फिजिकल प्रोटोकॉल्स होते थे, अब आपके ई प्रोटोकॉल्स होते हैं. पहले आपके इलेक्ट्रॉनिक, पहले आपके हेल्थ रिकॉर्ड्स होते थे, नाउ देयर आर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक हेल्थ रिकॉर्ड्स. पहले आपके सीआरएफ्स होते थे, आज ईसीआरएफ्स हैं. वैलिडेशन एआई यूज करके होता है, राइट? आपका रिस्क बेस्ड क्वालिटी मॉडल मैनेजमेंट जो है वो एआई यूज करके होता है. तो यू विल इवेंचुअली यूज दीज टेक्निक्स, यू विल लर्न दीज टेक्निक्स. अभी तक आपको प्रोसेस आता था, मैनुअल इंटरवेंशन, बट हाउ द सॉफ्टवेयर एंड ऑल दीज टेक्निक्स हैव कम इनटू द पिक्चर, दैट इज वेयर यू नीड टू अपग्रेड इफ यू वांट टू have this AI in your career or upgrade yourself to this AI in terms of a career. Okay, so that's about machine learning. अगर हमको एक बेसिक एग्जांपल देखना है, that AI is what we want and machine learning is how we get there. Okay, so AI is the vision and machine learning is basically to interpret the data. For an example, अगर हमको ये देखना है कि a machine should be able to pick up apples, distinguish between apples and oranges. Then हम backend में उसको data input क्या देंगे? We will give the characteristics data of apples and orange. That apples are more, they are not that round. They have different green apples or red apples. They have some stripes. They have a kind of a edgy on both the parts and all those things, right? And then the characteristics of orange, that orange is almost round. It is bit of, bumpy on outside. So now whenever the machine is going to detect, it will see that anything which is red, not oval, not bumpy, absolutely sharp, okay, with edges on top and bottom, it will classify it as apple. Similarly, in case of oranges, if it matches the characteristics, what are those characteristics? The characteristics were the data. And over a period of time, when we keep on training this machine using machine learning, okay, programming at the back end, then we eventually train. So the more number of apples and oranges it will segregate, eventually it will get smarter. We started with 10 oranges, 10 apples. Now we are able to do 100 oranges, 100 apples. Let's take it to an institutional level, build an entire machine with a program which can distinguish at a fruit wholesaler, global level fruit wholesaler, wherein you dump apple and oranges in the same basket around 3 lakh, and it can do it in seconds. It can segregate because it has trained from 10 to 1000 to 10,000 to 1 lakh, and it has made its processing capability stronger. Okay, so initially there was size, shape, then there can be color. Then after that, we can have some inclusion in terms of taste. If we can develop kind of a program wherein we can check the humidity and all those things. And certainly we require some mechanical help in terms of instruments as well. So that is where the machine learning comes into the picture. Okay, next slide. So how does the machine learning works? The machine learning process, it begins with the collecting the data, which can be anything. For an example, in clinical, it can be patient records to image or text. Okay, patient records, or it can be in the form of two images, or it can be some text. The data is then cleaned and prepared by fixing the errors. So whatever errors are there, that data is actually basically data preparation takes place and it is cleaned. It is done. Whatever errors are there, blank spaces are there, it is all removed. Then after that, basically, we organize the data into organizing in such a model we can understand it. Then after that, we use the suitable machine learning model, which can be trained, which can be slowly trained. And then after that, same model, as we run more and more cases there, it becomes firm, it becomes more correct, we get more accuracy, and then we start with the prediction. And then after that, we will make the decision on the basis of the outcome, or the system will make the decision of the outcome. Blood pressure monitoring machine. You just pickle your finger, right? Pick your finger. Then you will use that blood on a glucometer. The glucometer will give a range. The range will be communicated to the doctor, and the doctor will be saying, oh, it's too high, sir, you need to fast. This is one way. Another way is that the machine can have your history of all the pricks that you do and you are evaluating, and it can show you a trend. And it can automatically on the 38th day, it will say that, Mr. your average sugar has been lower than what we have done in last month. Here on, you can continue with a sweet. You can, compliment yourself, or you can celebrate with a sweet, but should not be more than these many calories. Are you getting my point? So what is all this? Overall experience बढ़ाने के लिए, what you build, you make the machine smarter, and that is what we do. That is how we work on the machine learning. Okay, now let's have a look at the one of the clinical relevant example wherein there is patient data. Now, for an example, imagine a clinical trial where thousands of patients are enrolled. Okay, and what kind of data we collect from the patients? We collect their laboratory reports, their vital signs, their medical history, their side effect, and the treatment exposures that they have done. So for humans, all the people analyzing all this quickly is almost impossible. So many people, so many parameters and variable which needs to be assessed. It is going to take time. But now, with the help of machine learning, with the enhanced AI feature, what we can do, we will be able to predict in very less time that which patients are more likely to respond to a treatment. So if any of the parameters wherein we find it at a positive range and which are very much supportive, we will be able to, as while we train the machine on that particular things, then we will be able to predict which patients are more likely to respond to a treatment, right? Who might develop a side effect earlier, vulnerable population कौन है, past medical क्या है, concomitant medication क्या चल रहा है, right? So all those things we should be able to decide who might develop a side effect earlier, and we can be extra cautious about that particular trial or subject, about that particular trial participant. Which combination of symptoms need closer monitoring? Which combination wherein we have to monitor more closely? We have to have more compliance. We need to be careful about the compliance. So all those things are basically done, can be achieved through machine learning in clinical trials. Now, what does it mean for a person who is not into analytics? Who is not into analytics, then the person should be ready to have this kind of acumen that how the calculation will be done, what kind of data will be collected, and how this data will be processed, which software will be used, and how the data will be entered. तो अगर आप एनालिटिक्स नहीं भी करना चाहते हो, लेकिन अगर आप क्लिनिकल रिसर्च कोऑर्डिनेटर हो, पीवी हो, जहां पे आप डेटा एंटर करते हो या डेटा मैनेजमेंट में हो, then all these things you are supposed to do, because although you will not do the analytics part, but analytics के पहले का पूरा डेटा तो आप ही तैयार करोगे, what kind of data will be captured, what mechanism will be followed, and everything. So therefore it becomes important for a person who is not seeking a career in data analytics but also in clinical trial operations or clinical research operations to be very much upgraded with the AI trends which are happening in the industry, right? Second, for analytics professionals, people who want to be into SAS programming, people who want to be data analysts, people who want to be into R programming, people who want to be into statistical programming, clinical programming. For them, this is the future. Because remember, although you will not be doing the entire programming or entire analysis on your own, but at the end of the day, the input you will be analyzing, the output you will be analyzing. आप entirely machine के ऊपर थोड़ी ना छोड़ सकते हो कि उसने input और output दोनों create कर दिया, and on the basis of that the certificate or the machine can be, or on the basis of that the drug can be approved in the market. No, but किसी चीज को सही और गलत बोलने के पहले आपको उसका मैकेनिज्म पता होना चाहिए, right? Why there is allopathy, why there is homeopathy, why there is Ayurveda, why there are specializations? Because to suggest, to prescribe, take the accountability and monitor, you need specialization. And for specialization, you have to study. You should know the methodology. You should know how it works, right? So similarly, यहाँ पे भी, if you want to build a career in clinical trial data analytics or statistical programming or SAS programmers, it is very important for you to understand the game, understand how it is being, how AI and machine learning techniques are being incorporated in a day-to-day clinical trial function or clinical research function or drug development for that sake, right? So that is one thing. Now let's take one more example wherein the doctors want to predict which patient might drop out of the clinical trial. One of the biggest tension point to any of the medical practitioner or clinical trial investigator is the trial participant retention, right? Why it has a greater impact? Because for an example, I need in this phase 3,000 trial participants, out of which there in 2,500 पे trial करना ही करना है. Now, as per the ICH guidelines or ethics committees or the clinical trial protocols, you cannot force a clinical trial participant to remain into a trial. They can withdraw at any given point of the study. तो भाई मेरे को पता है कि ये रिस्क है, तो मैं पहले से ही देखूंगा ना, चेक करूंगा कि what is the probability or the possibility of the trial fallout or the trial participants withdrawing the trial or might drop from the trial. So that will help us, that we can analyze, we can predict. Analytics we use to prescribe, to predict, to describe everything. In this case, we can use machine learning and artificial intelligence using a help of a software and the logic, with the logic that where are the chances who can predict, they can predict that they will drop out of the trial. And with the help of machine learning, we will be able to analyze the age. We will be able to analyze the previous health conditions, how many visits they have been missing, how regular they are in the clinical trials, what are the early side effects if they have, if any has been observed, what is the response pattern. Now, after learning all this, right? After learning all this, we can analyze that what exactly is basically we are doing, what exactly which person has the most probability of wherein we can actually, the person can drop out. So for an example, if there is a patient who show X pattern in the 2 weeks, have the high chance of dropping out, right? Now, this will help the clinical team to intervene early, take care of the trial participant, help discuss with them, keep them motivated, give them extra support, improve their retention overall by having more open communication, by addressing the benefits and all those things. And when we do all this, it will finally ensure the trial success. And when we have the trial success, it will help the product to be launched in the market. Company earns money. Everyone is happy. That's what the machine learning in this case is being used, or AI is being used for. Okay. Now, moving further, there are different types of machine learning, right? Now, each teaching machine learning is in a unique way. There is supervised, there is unsupervised, semi-supervised, reinforcement learning. A supervised learning is the most common type, wherein the machine learns from the labeled examples, whatever the examples that you are going to tell the machine. Okay, for an example, housing price prediction, trial success prediction, medical imaging, all those things that is being done. For example, you if you go and watch your inbox, the email apps will automatically see that which is a spam or not a spam, because it has been trained, it has been supervised in such a way using the past data that which email needs to be marked as spam or not as a spam. Okay. In case of unsupervised learning, it works without labels. There are no predefined labels. Okay. For an example, customer segmentation, market basket analysis, wherein machine will discover hidden patterns on its own. Customer segmentation, the income, right? On the basis of how much they are spending, how much they are spending on leisure, how much they are spending on credit card, how much they are balance they are making in the bank account. For an example, I am XYZ Bank. Your account is with me. I can simply see that you are having this much in terms of FD, this much in terms of loan, this much, these many home loans, this many personal loans. This is how much you have been swiping your credit card on dining, on partying, on saving, on medical emergency, and this is how regularly you have been paying. If I have all this share of wallet studies, I can tell you, if you use a lot of credit card, I will increase your credit card limit. If you use a lot of credit card but has low account balance, average quarterly balance or average monthly balance, then I will know that you are a risky account. Why? Because your income is less than what you are spending. That means you have stretched yourself, right? So we are able to do that. Okay. Now, sorry. Then comes your semi-supervised learning, wherein it is a mix of both supervised and unsupervised. So initially we give some data to work on to that machine. We train that machine, and finally on the basis, because there is something called as lifetime value. Now lifetime value keeps on changing. Even in clinical trials, if you see the trial participant, the entire trial participant's lifetime value, or the entire enrollment period, will keep on changing. Sometimes there will be other medications, sometimes the disease will change, right? There will be there will be the drug registry will change, the disease pattern will change, the mutation and all those things. There are many things. So on these cases, we use semi-supervised learning, wherein we train on a particular data set, but then slowly the data set works on itself and keeps on evolving. Okay. And then finally, there is reinforced learning, wherein we actually help the teacher's machine through trial and error. Like, for an example, giving records for correct actions and penalties on the wrong ones. It is kind of a more of a kid technique. For an example, Google Maps improves traffic navigation when many drivers choose a new, faster route. That is kind of a system reward. And the choice begins recommending it to the others. So if suppose there is moving traffic, early right, and all those rerouting and all, वो सब कैसे होता है? It is basically through reinforced learning. Reinforced learning is more in the real-time environment. It is more in the real-time environment. So these are the different techniques which are supervised learning, unsupervised learning, semi-supervised learning, reinforced learning, which we use. As a data analytics and as an AI engineer or as an AI expert, these are the things that you eventually learn. as a person who is into clinical research operations, these are the things and softwares that you will work on. So you should know the backend, how it is working. आपको बैठ के पाइथन प्रोग्राम नहीं करना है, बट आपको ये पता करना है कि कौन सी चीजें जो है मेरे को कैप्चर करनी है और ये क्यों कैप्चर करके मेरे को आगे वाले डेटा एनालिसिस प्रोफेशनल को या डेटा इंजीनियर को देना है. सो यू शुड नो दिस. और कैप्चर करने के लिए कौन सा टूल यूज होता है वो भी मेरे को आना चाहिए. ठीक है. सो दैट इज समथिंग विच इज मशीन. दीज आर द डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ मशीन लर्निंग. Let's go to the next slide. What are the AI and machine learning that are being used? So machine learning is widely used across the clinical and drug development domain, which is making the trials faster, safer, and more efficient. If you see, it takes near about 10 to 15 years for a drug to hit the market. There is a lot of money involved, a lot of compliance, and a lot of pressure. I'm sure a lot of measure. Sometimes it goes up to even $2 billion for a company to invest in clinical trials. And 60 to 70% of the drug budget is into clinical trials. It is spent on clinical trials, almost 60 to 70%, right? So basically it helps in AI/ML, it helps identify the right patients for the studies to start with by scanning the large medical data sets, which is already there. How do you get the medical data sets? Electronic health records, patient records, patient reported outcomes. There are so many things that you probably get from that particular data sets. It matches the eligibility criteria far more quickly than a single person taking a form individually and then entering into the system. है ना. आपके लिए यहाँ पे कनेक्ट करना आसान था. गूगल फॉर्म पे रिप्लाई रिस्पॉन्स करना आसान है, बजाय उसके कि मैं आपको एक फॉर्म भेजूं, चिट्ठी आई है, चिट्ठी पे टिक करोगे, चिट्ठी को एनवलप के अंदर डालोगे, उसको कुरियर करोगे, 4 दिन बाद कुरियर आएगा, तब तक तो आपकी गाड़ी छूट गई. Right? So that is what the advantages of AI/ML, because we have quick access to the data. The data is also digital in nature. It is electronic in nature. We use electronic data. We use softwares. We classify as per the inclusion and exclusion criteria. The set which is ready, we simply enroll them as per the inclusion criteria into our clinical trials. We save time, money, and energy. Right? And also, machine learning can predict which patients are likely to drop out. We have just seen an example on the basis of age, their adverse reactions, their presence in the clinical trials. It helps us to do that. Like in safety monitoring, machine learning detects subtle changes in patient, like अगर आपका कोई level rise of liver enzyme rise हो रहा है, unusual viral trends आ रहे हैं, which may have a signal adverse events, तो पहले ही हमको पता चल जाता है कि बॉस ये levels बढ़ रहे हैं, इन patients पे ध्यान दो, this might result in an adverse event. And when we call it an adverse event, there are 7 categories of AEs. If you have known Hartwig-Siegel scale, if you have learned pharmacovigilance, or you are about to learn pharmacovigilance from anywhere, there are 7 categories of ADRs. Level 1 and 2, that is your mild. Level 3, level 4, and level 4B, which is moderate. Level 5, level 6, and level 7. 7A maybe 7A and 7B, which is basically aapka severe. And under severe also, there are some AEs, adverse drug reactions, which are life-threatening in case of death, and all those things. We should be able to predict that just by monitoring the data in the advance. है ना. तो अब आप अगर पीवी में हो और आपको मशीन लर्निंग, तो मेरे को पता है ये पैरामीटर्स, बट वो पैरामीटर्स होते कहाँ हैं, किस स्केल में जाते हैं, कौन से कंप्लायंस फॉलो होते हैं, क्या क्या चीजें हमको बनाना है, आईसीएसआर ऑटोमेशन कैसे हो रहा है, वैलिडेशन ऑटोमेटिक कैसे हो रहा है, कौन सा टूल यूज हो रहा है, वो तो पढ़ना पड़ेगा. हमको तो कॉलेज में पढ़ाया जाता है, ये थ्योरी है, ये पेपर है, ये पढ़ लो, टिक करो. अभी भी बाबा आदम के जमाने से हम टिक करते आ रहे हैं और वही चीज सोचते हैं कि आगे भी हो रहा है. नहीं हो रहा है. It is not happening anymore. It has become the strategy of the government and the world and everyone to make globe digital, go digital, paperless. That is what we have been focusing on. Okay, so ये safety monitoring के हो गए. It also, basically the AI and machine learning, it also automates the data cleaning by identifying missing values. भाई मिसिंग वैल्यूज आ गए. आप 500 पेशेंट्स का डेटा जो है वहां पे क्लिनिकल रिसर्च कोऑर्डिनेटर एक सीआरएफ में भर रहा है. There are chances that they have missed out on few of the parameters. For an example, they did not enter the data for any adverse reaction or side effect, or maybe on the onset date and time. They might have missed the value. Or for an example, there is a trial participant in the name, for an example, Summer. Now, Summer can be a male or a female. It can be a male in India and it can be a female in the US. Then comes the problem of, multi-regional trials and ethnicity and genders and all those things. Pura aapka jo wo aa gaya. So all those complications can be very advanced, proactively can be monitored, analyzed, and dealt with using AI and ML. Right? So these are the different AI/ML wherein we use clinical trials. For an example, creating e-trial master file, ETMF. ETMF is basically a file which will have all the information according to for the clinical trial. चाहे उसमें protocols हो, deviations हो, protocol amendments हो, protocol हो, आपका खुद का resumes हो, ICF के forms हो, आपके informed consent form के, signed informed consent, everything. So entire clinical trial का जो बनता है आपका, that is ETMF. Second is CSR automation. What is CSR automation? Now there is a clinical study report that you can automatically create. So you conduct the clinical trial as per the clinical study protocol. You come up with the data which is automatically entered into the system. The data is finally analyzed by a statistical programmer and data analyst. While we are analyzing the data, there are other techniques of automation and AI which we are using, SDTM and ADAM mapping, right? That we do. And then after that, once we have the data ready, we have created table listings, figures, and graph, and automatically the software can read the table outcomes, the listings outcomes, and the figures outcomes, and frame a conclusion on its own, which can be further reviewed by the investigator and the principal investigator, and can be submitted to the FDA. So that is the entire workflow, right? Data analysis, you can do data analysis, you can do interim analysis, you can predict. Because generally what happens, you start with the trial as a pilot analysis, then you do the interim analysis, that how the trial is going. एंड इंटरम एनालिसिस में ही आपको समझ में आ जाता है कि बॉस जो हमने प्लान किया था उसके हिसाब से चल रहा है कि नहीं, वैसा हमको एफिकेसी सेफ्टी पैरामीटर मिल रहा है कि नहीं, नहीं तो फिर फाइनल तक जाना क्यों है, कुछ चेंजेस करने तो अभी करो, right? So that is interim analysis. Pharmacovigilance, I have already talked about the safety data, right? Data management में smart queries, query management process can be automated, right? Medical coding, a time will come when the medical coding will be automated to an extent. Query management and source data verification. What is source data verification? Whenever there is a query, then we have a mechanism, one of the mechanism wherein we can verify the data from the clinical trials, which is source data. So whenever you study for any of the programs in clinical research, clinical data management, pharmacovigilance, artificial intelligence in healthcare, all those things, you are being taught in detail about each and every process, documentation, compliance, and the scope of impact of AI that you probably need to infuse in terms of your learning. Even if you pursue any of the statistical programming programs with Kittle, you will be taught about R, Python, Power BI, industry standards, and even how you can automate the data set using Python and create SDTM auto-generated tables. You get to work on different different live projects with different clients. We have our own inner capability wherein we are using AI and augmenting intelligence in our clinical products. We have expertise in SAS, R, and Python wherein we at Kite AI, we are, passing on this the knowledge which can contribute to the industry at large with an association with Kittle. Those programs and all, maybe you can see later. But coming back to the topic, in terms of study design, पहले protocol बैठ के लिखना पड़ता था. Now protocol has different sections. As per the आपका International Council of Harmonization, there is a protocol that needs to be prepared. And what will that protocol will be? What will be the things? आपका GCP आता है, right? E6. All those principles, when you are those response studies के आपके ICH के guidelines रहते हैं. Then you have to be some multidisciplinary guidelines that you have to. So all those guidelines and all can be automated, and we can have a e-protocol design which can actually create on its own, which can be validated. And that creation will be as per the ICH guidelines and the regulatory guidelines, which we need to follow while drafting the clinical study protocol. And then can be sent further to independent ethics committee for review. And then finally uploading it on the registry, trial registry, getting an approval, getting a protocol code, and starting with the clinical trial. So on. Language translation, French, German, Russian, translation of the protocols and to have a better understanding. That is done by AI/ML, right? Study setup, ECRF design. CRF is a paper-based design. ECRF is an electronic case report form. When you design an electronic case report form, you have to do a back database programming. That database programming will be identical to the variables that needs to be captured. There are 6 types of information which is captured in the CRF. There is medical history, vital signs, laboratory values, adverse events, and then you have your body measurement and any other data, whatever is required. So there are different. When you study CDM, then you will obviously study the structure of the ECRF. But then there is SDTM mapping, because SDTM is standard data tabulation modeling. It is one of the regulatory guidelines. See, analysis in clinical directly ऐसा नहीं होता है कि हमको डेटा आ गया, एक्सेल में बार चार्ट पाइथन बनाया और जाके हमने सबमिट कर दिया. ऐसा नहीं होता है. Actually, in clinical trial data analytics, and please be please have a firm understanding that clinical trial data analytics is highly regulated. Which tools you will use, which protocols you will use, what is the limit of the analysis or the deviations that you will use, what is the kind of standardization in terms of SDTM, that is the basic raw data from the CRF, which is conducted at the clinical trials sites, has to be converted into a standard data first. That is called as SDTM. And SDTM के ये आपके पूरा प्रोसेस होता है CDM में. कई बार SAS programmers भी करते हैं. They are called as SDTM programmers. So they will create that, and after that you will create Adam, and from that Adam you will create table listings, figures, and graph, and that will be submitted to the आपका NDA or ANDA or BLA. NDA if you have a new product which is called as new drug application. ANDA in case of generic products, that is abbreviated new drug application, and in case of biologic products, you file an application which is called as BLA, biologics licensing application, right? So that is something that we needs to be database creation and all, where an AI ML is being used. Trial management mein, to select slide, RBQM, risk-based quality management. The very high risk is in terms of protocol deviation at the clinical trial sites. RBQM में से एक फंडा है, रिस्क बेस्ड क्वालिटी मैनेजमेंट इन क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स, जहां पे आपका E6R2 जो आया था उसमें इसके ऊपर बहुत ज्यादा एम्फेसिस दिया गया था, राइट, टू मैनेज टू प्रोएक्टिवली असेस द रिस्क इन इन्वॉल्वड इन क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स. तो वहां पे साइट सिलेक्शन, कोई साइट होता है एडीआर जल्दी रिपोर्ट करता है, कोई साइट होता है जो डेटा जल्दी अपलोड नहीं कर रहा है, कोई साइट है जो कि बहुत जल्दी पेशेंट रिक्रूटमेंट कर दे रहा है. So these are the risk elements. Some sites have had a very bad experience or very bad outcome in terms of they need deviation quite often, protocol deviation. Then patient enrollment, risk-based monitoring, and chatbots are something another use that we are using in clinical trials as far as your AI ML in clinical trial goes. Okay, guys, I can simply conduct this session again and again, and to a great extent. But in the essence of the time, I probably have to rush around, and मैं जितना कर सकता हूँ उतना ही कर पा रहा हूँ, because maybe going very in depth will be something which is not advisable. And I would not like to get into that even at this point of time. But if you are a part of any of our programs, be assured आप एक और एक चीज. So we do not have a sprint. In terms of careers, हमारे यहाँ sprint नहीं है, हमारे यहाँ magic नहीं है. We just rotate a magic wand. And why we have been able to place candidates such a good package? Because at Kittle, we make sure that the person understands everything which is being required in the industry and not merely taught. There's a difference between understanding and being taught. Being taught is आदमी अपना पढ़ा के चला जाएगा, आपको आए नहीं आए उसका काम खत्म. But when you have to get employed, you need to have an understanding, right? So you will understand each and every perspective. So that's why our programs are not magic, जो कि आपका 10 दिन में बन जाओ, 20 दिन में ये हो जाओ, 40 दिन में ये हो जाएगा. कुछ नहीं होगा. 4 साल के फार्मा में हम क्लिनिकल रिसर्च ढंग से नहीं पढ़ पाए, तो हम आगे जाके हमको अगर कुछ नया पढ़ना है तो इट विल टेक एटलीस्ट 5-6 months फॉर यू टू इन्वेस्ट टाइम एंड देन मेक योर सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयमेंट रेडी. है ना, दुनिया को भी पूरा घूमने में 24 घंटे लगते हैं दिन से रात होने में. So just imagine, if you have to transform yourself, you have to invest time, you have to invest money, you have to invest energy, right? First of all, quality comes with a cost and with time. ठीक है? Aeroplane you cannot build in a day, which will fly and carry 280 to 380 passengers. It will take time to build, right? Anyways, chalo. AI ML in clinical trials is something that we have studied. There is one more thing which is called as deep learning. Now, deep learning जैसे AI ML होता है, वैसे ही deep learning होता है. It is a correlation between the data and the outcomes. So, deep learning is basically an advanced form of machine learning, जहां पे computers एक neural layered network use करते हैं. न्यूरल लेड मतलब जैसे हमारा दिमाग काम करता है ना न्यूरल नेटवर्क्स पे, एक न्यूरल से दूसरा न्यूरॉन जुड़ा हुआ है, वैसे ये न्यूरल हर एक लेवल पे एक न्यूरल नेटवर्क क्रिएट करते हैं, जिससे दे लर्न टू लार्ज अमाउंट्स ऑफ डेटा फॉर रिकॉग्नाइजिंग कॉम्प्लेक्स पैटर्न्स. हमको ये तो पता चल गया पेशेंट को एनरोल करना है कि नहीं करना, बट वो पेशेंट का अगर मेरा क्वेश्चन आया कि पेशेंट के ऐसे कौन से फैक्टर्स हैं विच विल हैव अ कंप्लायंस रिस्क एंड द पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ removing this trial participant from this particular trial, and what is the possibility of enrolling this trial participant to a next trial and also to a non-randomized control trial if whether is a part of special cases and all those things. ये complex हो गया, ये कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी बढ़ गई. तो कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी बढ़ने के लिए आप क्या करते हो, आप न्यूरल लेयर्स क्रिएट करते हो, वन प्रॉब्लम एट अ टाइम, एंड यू क्रिएट मल्टीपल लेयर्स. पहले इंक्लूजन एक्सक्लूजन क्राइटेरिया पता करो, उसके बाद एज फैक्टर देखो, एज फैक्टर के बाद आप उसका एथनिसिटी देखो, एथनिसिटी के बाद आप उसका रिक्रूटमेंट रेशो देखो, उसके बाद आप उसका रिटेंशन देखो, उसके बाद आप उसका हैबिट्स देखो, उसके बाद आप उसका लाइफस्टाइल एनालिसिस करो. So there are multiple layers that you create, and you go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and finally you will come to a conclusion that whether this can be done or not. So that is a kind of a deep learning mechanism that you see. Have you ever seen that when your phone unlocks by recognizing your face? That's deep learning. Why? Because it has learned that unique features of your face from many images that can identify you instantly, इवन इन डिफरेंट लाइटनिंग और एंगल्स, क्योंकि उसने देख लिया है आप कभी भी थंब इंप्रेशन पहली बार लगा तो 3 बार बोलता है, 3 बार, 3 बार में आपका ऑलमोस्ट थंब कवर हो जाता है, एनी फिंगर. So that is something called as deep learning. Now, deep learning works on neural networks. Now, what are neural networks? A neural network is basically a computer system inspired by a human brain. जैसे हमारा brain काम करता है, neurons से जुड़ा हुआ है. It is made up of connected neurons that learn patterns from data. Data कैसा है? मैंने आपसे सिर्फ अगर इतना क्वेश्चन पूछा कल के दिन कि कल बारिश होगी कि नहीं, ये ट्रायल सक्सेसफुल होगा कि नहीं, इंडिया मैच जीतेगी कि नहीं, विराट कोहली 20,000 रन बनाएगा कि नहीं, whenever I have a question, then I need to process the data. I need to process the data layer by layer. It all depends on the kind of question that we have. So that is called as neural networks. For example, a neural network can be trained. It can be trained to recognize handwriting numbers by studying thousands of images. Handwritten numbers. We are working at Kite AI. We are working on one of the projects wherein we are coming up with a technology wherein अगर आपके पास कोई पेपर बेस्ड CRF है, हम सिर्फ स्कैन करेंगे, उसको फोटो लेंगे ऐप में, and it will automatically will be captured in the eCRF. So you need not to make a person who will sit, who will enter data one by one, take almost 1 hour to fill the entire CRF. It is just at the click. आपने स्कैन किया, अपलोड, स्कैन किया, अपलोड, स्कैन किया, अपलोड. स्कैन भी किससे? मोबाइल से. You just take the photograph and it will get automatically uploaded to your eCRF or whatever the CDMS system you have, clinical data management systems, right? So that is called as neural network. So हम ये कैसे होता है? When we break down, when we create multiple layers, facial. अगर मेरे को ये देखना है कि फोन कैसे खोलेगा आपका, तो वो देखेगा आंख क्या है, आंख का रंग क्या है, माथा कितना चौड़ा है, आईब्रोज पैटर्न्स क्या है, चीक कैसे हैं, और स्माइल का पैटर्न क्या है, फेस किस तरीके का है, मल्टीपल एंगल से, एंड दैट्स हाउ इट कैन रिकॉग्नाइज. सिमिलरली हैंड राइटिंग अगर मेरे को असेस करनी है तो बोलेंगे भाई करो 50 बार साइन, लिखो ABCDEFGH वर्ड्स लिखो, ट्रेन करो एआई में. अगर आप मॉड्यूलेट करोगे, वॉइस मॉड्यूलेट कैसे होता है, इट इज लर्निंग फ्रॉम द स्पीच रिकग्निशन. So that is all neural networks is. What are deep neural networks? Now, deep neural networks are basically, they are a specific subtype of neural networks जो कि आपके और भी ज्यादा लेयर्स पे काम करते हैं, ज्यादा एनालाइज. फॉर एन एग्जांपल, अगर गाड़ी को सिर्फ ये देखना है कि मेरे को कब रुकना है और कब चलना है, तो दैट इज ओके, न्यूरल नेटवर्क. बट गाड़ी को देखना है कि मेरे को कब रुकना है, कब चलना है, कब स्लो चलना है, कब राइट लेना है, कब लेफ्ट लेना है, कब सामने वाले को हॉर्न देना है, then it needs to be trained more and it needs to go further down. So that is what basically the neural networks and deep neural networks is. So for an example, if I have to say, you see an example that machine learning neural networks, machine learning is like teaching a car to drive by giving it specific rules. मैंने बता दिया that what are the features to pay attention to. For an example, if it is high, then रुक जाओ, slow down. If something is detected in front, then apply the brakes. If the lane line moves and adjust the steering, ठीक है? So this car in this way will learn, but it will need you to define important features in advance. पहले से ही बताने पड़ेंगे आपको, train data set देना पड़ेगा. Deep learning, on the other hand, is basically, it lets the car to learn and drive almost entirely on its own. मशीन लर्निंग में आप पहले से प्री डिफाइंड डेटा दे देते हो, प्री डिफाइंड स्ट्रक्चर दे देते हो, रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस एंड कंडीशंस दे देते हो, ट्रेन कर देते हो डेटा को, और वैसा वो मशीन एक्शन करता है. डीप लर्निंग समय के साथ सीखता है, जितना ट्रेन होता जाता है समय के साथ सीखता जाता है. फॉर एन एग्जाम्पल, you will show it millions of real driving examples in terms of images, videos, sensor data, है ना. and फिर deep neural network क्या करेगा, it will figures out everything. For an example, how to detect lanes, recognizing traffic lights, understanding pedestrians, and deciding when to brake or accelerate. ये सब वो सीख जाएगा. So overall, if you see the difference between machine learning and deep learning, is that machine learning is your guide, the car on what you want to learn. ठीक है? Whereas deep learning is the car figures out what it needs to learn by itself. मशीन लर्निंग में आप गाइड करते हो कि कार को क्या सीखना है. न्यू डीप लर्निंग में आपकी कार खुद से सीखती है कि उसको क्या सीखना है. आप एडास देखो, एडास आपको प्री फंक्शनिंग तो बताया गया है, बट खुद से अगर सीखेगा तो दैट इज समथिंग विच इज अ पार्ट ऑफ डीप लर्निंग. Now, moving ahead. Now, if you see that in clinical settings, neural networks can handle different input-output pattern depending on the task. कैसा task है? For an example, a one-to-one model. यहाँ पे जो पहला मैंने example दिया, a one-to-one model might take a single MRI image as input. एक MRI image लिया, it may produce a single input and produce one output. मतलब one to one, एक अंदर लिया. For an example, एक एमआरआई इमेज है, इमेज अपलोड की, इमेज को वो अपने आप न्यूरल नेटवर्क ट्रांसफॉर्म करेगा और आखिरी में कंक्लूजन देगा. सो इट इज वन टू वन. आई टेक वन इमेज, upload it, and then for an example you put up an image on ChatGPT and say reframe this or explain this image in detail, then it will take. So what you have entered is you have entered one image and it has given you one particular output related to that image. ठीक है? Then उसके बाद फॉर दैट कुड टेक वन पेशेंट. तो अगर आपने एक पेशेंट का पूरा डिटेल्स डाला तो वन आउटपुट यू विल क्रिएट. देन देयर आर वन टू मेनी. वन टू मेनी क्या होता है कि आपका एक पर्टिकुलर इनपुट से बहुत सारे मल्टीपल. फॉर इट गेट्स अ फिक्स्ड अमाउंट ऑफ डेटा, इतना ही डेटा है, बट इट गेट्स बेसिकली आपका आउटपुट जो होता है वो बहुत सारे आउटपुट्स निकलते हैं. फॉर एन एग्जांपल इमेज कैप्शनिंग. अगर मेरे को इमेज कैप्शनिंग करनी है तो देन द मॉडल दैट आई यूज इन डीप लर्निंग is basically, or neural networks is basically one to many. Many to many मतलब it reads a series of data as input, मतलब बहुत सारा डेटा उसके अंदर फीड किया जाता है to produce a fixed size output. For example, sentiment analysis. Sentiment analysis कहाँ होता है? आप जब सोशल मीडिया से सेंटिमेंट एनालिसिस करते हो, व्हाट इज द सेंटिमेंट गोइंग ऑन इन सेंटिमेंट एनालिसिस, राइट? सो मैनी टू मैनी मॉडल्स में अगर आप देखोगे देयर आर मल्टीपल इनपुट्स टू प्रोड्यूस अ सिंगल डिसीजन, सच एज कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ पेशेंट लैब वैल्यूज, वाइटल साइंस, मेडिकल हिस्ट्री टू प्रिडिक्ट द रिस्क ऑफ हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन और डिजीज प्रोग्रेशन. अगर मेरे को देखना है तो ये सब पैरामीटर्स, मल्टीपल पैरामीटर्स, भाई बंदा ट्रायल में एनरोल हो सकता है कि नहीं, या बंदे को आगे लॉन्ग टर्म सेफ्टी मॉनिटरिंग के लिए अगर मेरे को पीएमएस स्टडी में देखना है तो मैं देखूंगा इसका लैबोरेटरी रिपोर्ट क्या आ रहा है, ये क्या आ रहा है, वो क्या आ रहा है. सो दैट इज योर मैनी टू वन. एंड मैनी टू मैनी क्या हो जाता है आपका? मैनी टू मैनी मॉडल्स आर बेसिकली वेयर इन इट गेट्स अ सीक्वेंस ऑफ डेटा एज इनपुट. लाइन से डेटा आता जाता है और जो आउटपुट है ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट, फॉर एन एग्जांपल आपका रेगुलर इनपुट, दैट इज मशीन ट्रांसलेशन. ट्रांसलेशन सर्विसेज जो होती हैं, ट्रांसलेट होते हैं जो, that is again a part of your deep learning. I'm sorry, I'm not going very deep into all this because in the limit, because we have a time limitation, right? Now, in other words, if you see that AI is what we want and machine learning is how we get there. AI kya hai? It's what we want to do, and machine learning is one of the process that takes us there. Look at this example wherein हमने एप्पल और ऑरेंजेस वाली जो हमने बात की थी वो तो हमने देखा ही था, राइट? ना तो मशीन आपका जो है कई चीजें यूज करती है, जैसे कंप्यूटर विजन, लाइक सैटेलाइट एंड ड्रोन इमेजनरी. कहाँ से आता है? फेशियल रिकॉग्निशन एंड आइडेंटिफिकेशन, इमेज सुपर, ये जो है ये सब प्रोसेस जो है आपके इज बेसिकली पार्ट ऑफ कंप्यूटर विजन. देन यू हैव एनएलपी. मेडिसिन एंड बायोलॉजी में अगर आप देखो, ट्यूमर सेगमेंटेशन, क्लिनिकल टेक्स्ट प्रोसेसिंग, मेडिकल इमेज क्लासिफिकेशन, प्रोटीन फोल्डिंग एंड ड्रग डिस्कवरी, इसमें यहाँ पे आपका यूज होता है. गेमिंग में आपका गेम यूनिवर्स क्रिएशन, प्लेइंग एनपीसीज, आपके नॉन प्लेएबल कैरेक्टर्स विच आर कॉल्ड एज बॉट्स. अगर आपने काउंटर स्ट्राइक खेला है तो उसमें आप बॉट ऐड करते हो, फिर बॉट की डिफिकल्टी होती है, बॉट अंडरस्कोर ऐड अंडरस्कोर टी और सी टी, देन यू डिफाइन दी उसका कितना वो है. ऑल दोस थिंग्स आर पार्ट वेयर इन यू यूज ऑल दीज आर द एआई जहां पे यूज होता है. वर्चुअल प्रोसेसिंग असिस्टेंट आपके हो गए सीरी, अलेक्सा, अमेजन, राइट? कंप्यूटर फोरकास्ट में पीपल हुम यू नो, फेस रिकॉग्निशन, सिमिलर पेन्स, सोशल मीडिया सर्विसेज में ट्रैफिक प्रेडिक्शन, ऑनलाइन एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स. So if you see, this is the entire, entire work that आपका AI consists of. That AI के अंदर आपका machine learning और deep learning जो है एक foundation role play करता है. And or using all artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning features forms a part of data science, which we do in clinical trial data analytics. So that is basically the outcome from all this. What are the advantages of deep learning? High accuracy रहती है क्योंकि level by layer पे हमको पता चलता है. Automated feature engineering, scalability, जितना डेटा है उसके हिसाब से आप स्केल कर सकते हो, जितना कम डेटा उसके हिसाब से आप कम लेके आ सकते हो. फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी है और कंटिन्यूअल इंप्रूवमेंट है क्योंकि मशीन अपने आप से सीखती है. What it wants to learn, it is what that the deep learning will basically decide. डिसएडवांटेजेस ऑफ डीप लर्निंग आर डेटा अवेलेबिलिटी. हमको डेटा चाहिए, बहुत सारा डेटा चाहिए, कंप्यूटेशनल रिसोर्सेज चाहिए, जीपीयूज टीपीयूज चाहिए हमको, सीपीयू से काम नहीं चलेगा. टाइम कंज्यूमिंग है, इंटरप्रेटेबिलिटी है, ओवरफिटिंग है. सो व्हाट इज बेसिकली आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस? इट इज अ कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ मशीन लर्निंग, न्यूरल नेटवर्क्स, एनएलपीज. NLPs is to understand the speech, the image, the documents, That is called as natural language processing, NLP, and robotics automation. That is a combination which forms the artificial intelligence. Okay. Now, moving ahead, अगर आपको AI categorize करना है तो there is reactive, theory of mind, limited theory, and self-aware. These are the basically the different types of AI that it can be categorized. Reactive मतलब action लेते हैं उस पे. For an example, you write something, you get a response. You get an email, it gets classified into spam or not. ठीक है? Recommendations मतलब it reacts to a particular input. Whereas limited theory is generative AI like Chat GPT. मतलब लिमिटेड मेमोरी उसके पास है कि उसको पहले से ट्रेन किया गया है तो उस हिसाब से काम करेगा. वर्चुअल असिस्टेंट्स. Theory of mind is understand the needs of the other intelligent entities. ये अभी बाकी है. That is a part of strong AI. Still work is being done on. And self-aware is evolved to have human intelligence and self-awareness. तो अभी फिलहाल AI किस part में है? We are still a part of existing today is narrow AI. Whereas strong AI is still significant work in process. Lot has been done and still prototype work is going on. So that is basically your four category designs of AI: reactive, limited memory, theory of mind, and all. There are different types of AI models. If you see, right? What do you mean by AI models? अगर आप बोलोगे AI is not something in itself. There is something called as generative AI like ChatGPT. There is agentic AI which performs the task on behalf of you. राइट कि अगर मैंने बोला कि भाई मेल जाता है, मेरे को ये बंदा आ रहा है, ये बंदे का क्लासिफिकेशन चाहिए ट्रायल पार्टिसिपेंट का, तो कैसे होगा? ऐसे होगा. So that is something which an AI agent will be working for you. And AI agents क्या है? All agents which actually जो combined होते हैं वो आपके इस particular part में आते हैं. ठीक है? So this is what generative AI and agentic AI and AI agents. So AI agents combine generative and agentic capabilities to accomplish complex objectives. एजेंट मतलब आपके बिहाफ में जो काम करेगा, जनरेटिव मतलब आप खुद यूज कर सकते हो, और एआई एजेंट्स मतलब आप दोनों का यूज करके एक बना सकते हो. ठीक है. सो फॉर एन एग्जांपल वी कैन मूव अहेड एंड वी कैन टॉक अबाउट व्हाट आर द फीचर्स ऑफ एजेंटिक एंड जनरेटिव एआई. नाउ एजेंटिक एंड जनरेटिव एआई, इफ यू सी, अगर आप देखोगे दैट डू यू नो दैट देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन जनरेटिव एआई, एजेंटिक एआई एंड एआई एजेंट्स. How actually it works is that generative AI creates new content. आप कभी भी जब जनरेटिव कंटेंट चैट जीपीटी में आओगे तो it will create a new content, such as it can create a text, it can create image, it can create audio, it can create reports based on the patterns that is learned from the data. For an example, चैट जीपीटी जो है वो क्लिनिकल समरीज और पेशेंट एजुकेशन मटेरियल क्रिएट कर सकता है. It can create tools creating synthetic medical image for research, right? It can create generative model designing new drug for new drug molecules. It can do that. Now if you take agentic AI can take actions autonomously. मतलब वो खुद से एक्शन ले सकता है, pursue goals and interact with the environment without reading, मतलब विदाउट नीडिंग कंटिन्यूस ह्यूमन इंस्ट्रक्शंस. चैट जीपीटी में एवरी टाइम उसको प्रॉम्प्ट देना पड़ेगा, वो आपको जवाब देगा. बट एजेंटिक एआई में आपको ये करने की जरूरत नहीं है. आपने एक वर्कफ्लो बना दिया है उसके लिए, इट विल वर्क ऑटोमेटिकली एज पर दैट. Okay, so for an example, AI can automate this agent using agentic AI. You can autonomously schedule clinical trial visit. Auto reminders जा सकता है investor availability के हिसाब से. Automated lab robots that can run experiments and adjust parameters in the real time. And also self-driven medicines dispensing robots in the hospital. Amazon के warehouse में अगर आप देख लो, कहीं पे भी जाओगे. So that is a part of your agentic AI. अब आप AI agents का देखोगे तो for an example, a clinical operations AI agent that identifies eligible patient, draft emails, schedule visits, update CTMS and generate reports. पूरा पूरा कर लिया. तो ईमेल ड्राफ्ट करने के लिए आपने जनरेटिव एआई का यूज कर लिया, उस मेल को भेजने के लिए आपने एजेंटिक एआई का यूज कर लिया, कॉल शेड्यूल करने के लिए एजेंटिक एआई यूज कर लिया. सो दीज आर द डिफरेंट सॉफ्टवेयर टूल्स एंड मेथोडोलॉजीज दैट यू यूज इन टर्म्स ऑफ एजेंटिक एआई, जनरेटिव एआई एंड एआई एजेंट्स whenever you want to use or incorporate AI. Okay, so how AI is being used in clinical research, or specifically agentic AI is used in clinical research. अगर आप देखोगे where it is used in large hospital systems जहां पे decentralized trial companies, oncology centers में use होते हैं. Where what are decentralized clinical trials? Decentralized clinical trials जहां पे हम virtual trials conduct कर सकते हैं. In E6 R3 version, more of emphasis has been given on decentralized clinical trials. Okay, wherein you make trials flexible. हर बार हर किसी को visit करने की जरूरत नहीं है. So what does it do by using agentic GI and clinical AI in clinical research? We continuously scan live electronic health record feeds. भाई हर बार patient आएगा तो हर बार एक नया electronic health records आ रहा है, उसका feeds आ रहा है, update आ रहा है. We can note the change using this agentic AI. We can read unstructured notes, radiology reports, and labs, etc. We can compare against protocol, right? Criterias automatically flag whatever the eligible patients are. We can send alerts to CRCs or add to pre-screening log. होता है ना आपका रिमाइंडर्स आप पहले से शेयर करो तो उस टाइम पे वो रिमाइंडर चला जाता है 15 मिनट के पहले. What is the impact of agentic AI in clinical research? That it is 5 to 10 times faster patient discovery. Most of the time it takes on enrolling the trial participant. Patient discovery करने के लिए AI helps you to have 5 to 10 times faster patient discovery. Manual efforts कम कर देता है. Reviewing it by 80% correctness. Already used in oncology and cardiology trials. सेकेंड केस आता है आपका सेफ्टी सिग्नल मॉनिटरिंग में. सेफ्टी सिग्नल मॉनिटरिंग अगर आपने देखा होगा, इफ यू हैव स्टडीड टीवी और इफ यू नो द प्रोसेस ऑफ टीवी, देन देयर इज data management, then there is your signal optimization, there is signal detection, signal prioritization, signal assessment, and all those things, wherein we use PRR ratio and all those things. So where it is used in pharmacovigilance groups, it is being used by top 10 pharma companies. Now, if you want to have a career in pharmacovigilance, then you should know what these companies are using, how these companies are functioning, what are the methodologies that these people are doing. हम जाते हैं नहीं, हमको जो आता है हमको वो पढ़ना है, जो हो रहा है वो नहीं पढ़ना है, और हमको जो बता दिया जाता है हम वो पढ़ लेते हैं. That is not how it should be. What are the agent actions that are being used? We continuously scan incoming the serious adverse effects report. Continuously scan the change. We read narratives, lab values, and vitals. Whatever the change is, whatever needs to be highlighted, the agent will highlight it for us. It will detect possible safety signals. जो भी आपको मिल रहे हैं, it will highlight it. Escalate to a safety officer only if confidence is high. अगर लग रहा है रिपोर्टिंग करने की जरूरत है, serious in nature, then it will automatically escalate that. And generated CIOMS formats automatically. CIOMS formats is basically used for reporting, and therefore ये जो drafts हैं ये बनाने ही पड़ते हैं, and therefore आपका जो agentic AI है in clinical research, it is used which can have the ability to draft CIOMS forms automatically. What is the impact? Rapid detection of emerging risk जो हमको पता चलता है. Rapid detection, we can just, because we are noting the change practically, we are not waiting for some human intervention to come, then analyze, then report, and all those things. No, it is being done parallelly, real time, right? Automated triage of case seriousness, detection, assessment, reporting, and evaluation, and all those things, that triage. In AI study startup agent, it is used by CRO to automate regulatory and site activation. We read the feasibility questionnaire, extracts metadata. Metadata is the data of the data, is metadata. Compares with historical site performance. किसको कितने compliance issue थे, किसका कैसा past में performance रहा है. Process sites, proposes site selection, generates essential documents. So instead of a person who is sitting there, once I say, fine, this site seems good, I just click yes, and then automatically the agent AI sends the form, reads the questionnaire, everything, and then just the site just have to respond, and automatically it will get enrolled. It sent automated reminders to sites. Impact is that reduces startup timeline by 20-30%. If you reduce phase one, every phase में अगर आप 20-30% बचा लेते हो, तो you end up saving almost 5-6 years in the entire clinical trial, which is absolutely good. Because you save money, you save energy, and all those things. Then CRCs spend, the clinical research coordinator spends less time to repetitive documentation gathering, because automatically it is being done, it is being elaborated. तो आपका agentic AI बात भी कर रहा है, act भी कर रहा है आपके behalf में, data भी collect कर रहा है, और generative AI उनको data को use करके आपका क्या कर रहा है? It is creating your documents also. No human intervention involved. Protocol deviation, you all know that there is protocol deviation which keeps on having an adaptive design, where we design, conduct, review, adapt, conduct, and analyze, right? So there is protocol deviation. तो CTMS जब आप use करते हो, EDC design integrations use करते हो. CTMS is clinical trial management system. EDC is electronic data capture integrations, all the electronic and digital data that we capture in the system. And what we do using the agentic AI in clinical research, we monitor patients visit data in real time. We don't have to wait for somebody's input to be entered into the CTMS. We will come to know that what is the visit and what are the parameters that have been recorded. So it is like someone has entered, the location has been captured, he is in the office, directly automatically as the message will go, welcome to this, you are supposed to meet this, you are, your attendance has been marked for today, have, please do fill in this, give this code to the trial participant and all those things. It gets validated. I can have a mechanism of my own, right? authentic, which will have authentic information. फिर उसके बाद it checks dosing compliances and timestamps, कितने बजे दिया गया, कब दिया गया, कितने बजे एंटर किया गया डेटा, and all those things. Detects missing procedures, out of window sites जो भी हैं. It also creates draft deviation reports if there are any deviation, for an example, which are requested by the clinical site or which needs to be reviewed, then it will create that draft deviation reports. By the way, all those things that we are talking about, you will eventually learn when you learn CDM or CR or SAS or everything in detail when you enroll into any of the programs offered by Kittel. Notify CRC and principal investigator if action is needed. Obviously, but if someone is missing, has not visited, the visiting hours are over, automatic message will go or email will go to the PI and the CRC that this person has not visited today, and some is simply because this is how it will get the data. It will get the data from their GIS, it will get the data from their biometrics, whatever systems they have, whatever their geotagging that they have. It might get the data from there, but at the end of the day, it will send an alert. So that is again a Gen AI or a agentic AI features used in clinical research. We use agentic AI in clinical research for AI monitoring, that is CRA assistant, clinical research associate, multi-step agent. For an example, it reads new data entered in EDC. You are entering the data. You need some version. Have you seen that? Now you can, using Copilot, you can read the entire your Word file. So आप double edit कर सकते हो, check कर सकते हो what you have written, what you have entered, identifies data anomalies, the shortcomings. It creates pre-populated monitoring queries. Most of the data which is same needs to be pre-filled, copy from the past, yes, and all those things. Composes emails to sites, generates SDV, source data validation and source data reaction, जो भी आपका checklist है, that is being done. Schedule task in CTMS automatically. It needs to be done. It needs to be validated. It needs to be reported. If not done, it will give you a reminder. So that is where we are using agentic AI in clinical research for a software to as a capability. Impact is CRA workload जो रहता है वो almost 40-60% कम हो गया है. They can prioritize their work in terms of monitoring, and it is standardized traceable monitoring activity. That means we can create metadata which will be further used for regulatory submissions. देन ऑटोनॉमस मेडिकल राइटिंग एजेंट, चैट जीपीटी कई लोगों का जो लिखते थे उनका नौकरी खा रहा है, राइट? तो दैट इज समथिंग which is there. You can simply pull source data for EDC, lab systems, statistical outputs, all those things. Wherever drafting is required, you can use it here. Yeah. Then enrollment forecasting, recruitment action agent. It will you can use this AI, agentic AI in clinical research for continuously analyzing the real time enrollment data, कितने हुए हैं हर sites में, forecast site level performance, how they are performing, identify lagging sites, auto-generated outreach tickets. So when you learn, when you do any of the programs, you have patient-centric analysis, creating dashboards and all those things. You work on these projects at Kite, at Kittel, but they are necessarily the live projects with Kite AI, wherein you obviously, as a part of few of the programs offered by Kittel, you will be involved in this live projects for multiple CROs, pharmaceutical companies, and few of the renowned hospitals wherein we monitor their, their trial sites also, and reporting needs to be done. So that is where you can get involved. Then you have synthetic control arm creation agent. If you don't know synthetic control, it's an artificial arm of analysis when you are doing statistical programming. It will pull, so all those things are basically done. It reduces the placebo needs, more ethical and faster trials. So that is something which is more got to do with clinical trial methodology. When you probably study in detail, you will have more understanding on generative AI and clinical research, automating clinical trial documentation. Then you have your patient screening and eligibility matching is where you use the generative AI and clinical research. For query management and EDC systems, real life use, you use agentic AI. And whatever I am telling you here is a part of your curriculum, what you get to learn at Kite AI or Kittel. AI for adverse event narrative generation, right? For LLMs, large language models, serious adverse events reporting, MADRA coding suggestions are all something that you will probably eventually do with generative AI. Protocol deviation detection, real-time uses, AI assistance for CRCs, right? In clinical research, you see that there is synthetic data generation for trial simulation we have seen. These are the different purpose and technology, which probably in the essence of the time I have to skip at this point in time. But maybe in future, if you want to know more, we can connect and you can simply pass on the questions. So there are major industries which are impacted by AI in future. There are educational sector, transportation, but you see there is pharmaceutical, medical, and healthcare industries which are impacted more because it is most time consuming and regulated. Okay, we have implementations in the healthcare sector. We have in terms of drug discovery, AI/ML is used. Clinical trial design and monitoring, AI/ML is used. Pharmaceutical product development, AI/ML is used. Pharmaceutical manufacturing, AI/ML is used. Pharmaceutical product management, AI/ML is used. Quality control and quality assurance. So any of the projects, if you want to simply get into, you probably at this point of time, if you want to be employable and get started with a career, you have to invest with a company which can give you real life projects to work on, which can teach you the real time learning which is being used in the industry, which can give you the authentic experience which is actually considered in the market, and you get to train on the state of the art learning ecosystem also by the experts who are actually working in the industry. And I think there is no better than Kittel. You can simply go out and check out on the LinkedIn also if you want to pursue any of the programs, be it CDM, PV, or all those things. Okay, so this is the scope. These are different stages of drug development that we have already talked about. So these are different types of, I'm sure, accelerating monitoring, target identification, validation. We are using AI and ML, predicting drug to drug interactions. We do safety studies, phase one studies, wherein we analyze the pharmacology and all those things. The expert existing re-challenging the drug, existing drugs is something wherein we use for personalized medicine. We use this. Okay, AI and study design is something then we have a lot which we needs to be discussed by, but in the essence of the time, I think we are falling short of the time, so I'm going to cut through, but to cut short, but maybe in subsequent sessions in the future. So we use AI in study design, we use machine learning in study design, we use AI in study setup. So if you see clinical data management is all about study setup, study conduct, and study closeout. We have started integrating AI and ML practices in all these CDM activities. So please remember, AI for you comes at a varied pace. Not everyone is going to be into analytics, but everyone is going to be some or the other end of the data creation. Either they will be responsible for creating or conducting the activities which will lead to data creation, or either they will be a part of some or the other activities which will be in terms of submitting these data to the regulator or to the concerned entity. So you will on the either side. So data analysis वाले data analysis में AI ML impact upgrade करेंगे, upskill करेंगे. Operations वाले operations में करेंगे, PV वाले PV में करेंगे, regulatory वाले regulatory affairs में करेंगे. But AI और ML तो आपके career में upskill करना जरूरी है. This is what which will make you fair side. So there are AI in trial design, there is AI scope of AI in site selection, and there is AI in terms of patient enrollment. इसके कुछ cases हम discuss कर चुके हैं. Risk based monitoring, quality monitoring is something AI has work on. AI in terms of chatbots, AI in terms of data management, smart queries. There is a CRF process, there is a CFR process, and all those things that we probably do. AI data management in terms of medical coding, right? So these are for in terms of query management, smart source data verifications. This AI has a range of impact. AI in data management, data analysis and regulatory submissions, CSR automation, artificial intelligence plays as being incorporated in study design, study setup, trial, data management, data analysis, and submissions, regulatory submissions. Everywhere it is being incorporated. It's high time for you to simply upgrade yourself to this skill set, right? What is the impact of AI in clinical job roles? AI is not replacing these job roles, but it is changing what skill matter. Okay, so probably writing skills were something which were preferred at the time of regulatory writer or scientific or medical writer. But at this point of time, it is not the writing skills which are required. It is more of medical understanding and regulatory acceptance which is required. I'm not saying that it is completely eloped, but the entire thing has changed. The job rules have drastically changed. The people who will adapt, they will be promoted if you are a working professional. People who resist this change, you will either get stuck in a manual task wherein further you will not have a growth, or you will do a very small job, or you will not get a job at all. That is what probably is there for you in the future. I don't want to threaten any one of you, but this is what the learning and why people are getting fired only because they are not upskilling. Why people are not getting job only because they are not upskilling, right? Then there are different impact of AI in terms of clinical research coordinators, that there are a lot of AI. So what is the impact on freshers? That it will be easier entry because AI reduces training time. अगर आप पढ़ोगे clinical research, it reduces your training time, but employers expect basic AI literacy. For example, prompts, checking AI generated summaries, all those चीज आपको आनी चाहिए if you want to get into a clinical research coordinator jobs. What will be the new skill that we will teach you at Kittel? EHR, AI based EHR, writing and review AI generated documentation, Gen AI, all those things which we are going to teach you as a part of ACAI, that is Advanced Clinical Studies in Healthcare Analytics using Artificial Intelligence as a program. Then in terms of CDM, impact on freshers will be that there will be less repetitive data cleaning. You should have an understanding about basic SQL, prompt engineering, then exposure to Medidata, Rave, Oracle, Uniform, ADC logic, and the entire structuring, CRF annotation automation. That is something that you probably need to learn as a fresher if you want to a job in clinical data management. What we will teach you: AI, Gen AI, agentic AI, ADC design and architecture pattern, CRF annotation process, SDTM automation, quality review, and AI suggested qualities is an additional something that you will learn as a part of Akai at Kite AI or at Kittel. Impact on statistical programmers are Python automation, SDTM automation is something that you probably have to learn. So it is not dying. AI still outputs SAS because pharma workflows still use it. So SAS programmers रहेंगे, replace नहीं होगा, सिर्फ transition हो जाएगा. There will be add-ons that you need to learn, upskill. It will not be replaced. Okay, then what you will learn, even in a couple of programs like CPACT and CTD Excellent, you will learn Python and automation scripts, augmentation, understanding CDIS strategy deeply, and parallelly creating a database using Python and all those things, model assisted statistical workflows, CDIS standards, and multiple outputs, transitioning from SAS to R to Python, Python to Power BI, visualization, clinical, something which is going to you will be learn eventually with the statistical programmers, and you will be learning at Kite AI programs or Kittel programs. Clinical data analyst, obviously, you need to learn Excel, Power BI, ChatGPT, and all those agentic and AI for your clinical reportings and visualizations that you will eventually learn. So you will learn Python R, prompting validation, Power BI, WAI plugins, and the entire KPIs that is required as a part for you to have a job in clinical data analyst. Impact on PV. You have to learn. If you do not upgrade to AI and the fundamentals which are being adapted in the industry, I think your job will be at a higher stake. So you have to learn. They are shifting from validation to to output related endpoint, Medra browsing and AI, and all those things are something that you probably need to have an understanding in addition to the PV knowledge that you have. Which are the most impacted roles? If you see, they are statistical, clinical data management. They are going to be most prominent and high rewarding, but you have to upgrade. Which roles are most protected from AI at this point of time? It is clinical research coordinator because of the patient safety, patient facing, PV and safety science, clinical data analyst. But the only problem is they are very low end paying job. है ना? So that is something which is a problem with this, because if you have a skill set which is very much in demand, then you will be paid low. If you have a skill set which are very available with very low people, very few people, then you will be in high demand. And these are another last thing that I want to bring it to you, that Kittel offers two major categories of programs. First of all, Kittel is an independent entity in itself, Kittel Talent Works Private Limited. As Gayatri has initially mentioned, that we have transformed more than 5,000 professionals with an average package of 6 lakhs per annum. We offer a variety of programs. Kittel offers two major categories of programs, and we are only focused on clinical and healthcare. One is into field of clinical research operations, other into statistical programming and data analytics and AI. In clinical research operations, there are two categories of programs which are only training programs, which are 1.5 month each. It is into clinical research and trial management and clinical data management studies. Then another program is real world program, which includes real hands-on project with internship and work experience, wherein we have two major programs. One is advanced diploma in clinical studies, which essentially covered the clinical data management, pharmacovigilance, data visualization, data analytics, and data management. Okay, along with real life projects, for which you will be getting work experience also. For advanced certificate in clinical AI, this is an enhanced version of ADCS. There will be Gen AI, agentic AI, which will be added to this particular program of ACHAI. So that is something which is there. Again, you will work on the real projects. You will get the work experience. In statistical programmer, anyone who wants to start with training programs, it is just there are two programs. There are 3 months programs and 4 months program. Only training, nothing else. Then there are few programs wherein there are training and simulated projects along with industry standards like CDISC, which is PSDA, which is a 6 months program. There is a program. These two programs are basically the career and the employability program. The program which involves the 6 months of 4 months of training along with internship and work experience with KITI Technologies Private Limited, but the internship is unpaid. This is called a CTDA Excellent. That is a total 10 months program, 4 months learning and 6 months of real life projects experience. And the last program is CPACT program. It is only after the firm evaluation, which is starting from 20th, wherein you will have an aptitude test that you need to go through online. After that, you will have an interview. Then, if you are get selected, you will get a conditional offer letter with in the beginning itself. And only once you get a conditional offer letter, you are supposed to go ahead with the program. You will be monitored. So, in this program, there will be a 6 months of and exclude a very in-depth training which will cover all the essentials of artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, and statistical programming in clinical trial domain, along with standards. After that, you will be absorbed with Kite AI Technologies Private Limited at a salary of 1.5 lakhs per annum for a minimum duration of 12 months as an employment. Okay, and you also your certification will be sponsored by Kite AI. So there is something called as base certification, global certification, which comes around 20 to 25,000 rupees, which is going to be sponsored by Kite AI for its employee once you get onboarded with the Kite AI Technologies. But it will have a kind of a strict screening procedure, and we will have in November 27th is when we are starting with this batch. So the people who want to give it a try in terms of an assured career option, you can explore CPACT, that is CPAICT, and you can visit www.kittle.in. I know we have, significantly, crossed the time limit that we had. But now, if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to take it. Otherwise, we can simply conclude if you do not have any questions. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me now. Sorry, Vineet, there is no recorded session for this. You will not have access to this. No recording is allowed. We will not be able to circulate this to you. So we need to understand in terms of impact of AI and SaaS jobs. AI will be an addition to the statistical programming and SaaS. It will not be something which is going to replace SaaS. For an example, SaaS programmers do work on the implementing CDisk, SDTM, and ADAM. Now, tomorrow, if you start using Python integration also, then it will be working on the SaaS module itself, the SaaS way of functioning. So SaaS programmers are going to be there, but the only thing is that AI features needs to be upskill. For an example, we were using SaaS, so it's not like that SaaS नहीं use होगा अब R use होगा. It's not like that. It will be SaaS plus R. So you need to upskill. It is not going to replace. It is going to complement the SaaS programmers. So to answer your questions and queries, I think it is no. We can have on chat. We can have on chat. We can have documented. That's fine. So answer is impact of AI on SaaS. Definitely, it will have an impact, but it's going to be a positive impact. It is going to make the life easier. When it makes the life easier, then people get time, people get more projects, people get more opportunities, and there will be a lot of business, which will have more requirements in terms of programmers. Huh. In terms of career, only focusing on SaaS, I think you can go ahead with um, a better version wherein you can look for an option wherein you learn multiple tools. See, career kya hota hai? It is a combination of present and future. Whenever you are interviewed, you are seen that how ready you are in terms of the current situation or the current requirements. But if tomorrow, when you grow with the organization for 6 to 12 months, what is the futuristic skill set that you have wherein we can utilize you also, wherein you can be a part of that futuristic team or futuristic goal as well? If you have that, then nothing like it. So look for a program which covers, which not only makes you ready for today, but also prepares you for tomorrow. And that too with authentic exposure, authentic real life projects, and authentic work experience. Then you will be in demand. There are n number of Tom, Dick, and Harrys in the market which have opened the companies, and I personally have seen there, they just give experience letters, sign करके दे देते हैं, but जब interview में बैठते हैं, they do not have any exposure. Okay? So don't get into that trap. And even if you want to be a part of that trap, then it's your wish. My suggestion would be, अच्छा करेंगे तो बढ़िया करेंगे, कम करेंगे तो अच्छे की पॉसिबिलिटी बहुत कम है. See, it's not about learning the skills. You can learn, first of all, you need to understand that what exactly you are falling short of. There are people I have seen that they have learned SAS, they have learned R, but remember the people who do not get an opportunity or do not get employed are missing some or the other things. It may be technical, it may be non-technical, whatever it is. In terms of learning, I believe SAS, R and industry standards along with practical exposure is good enough. But when we talk about practical exposure, it is very important for a candidate how they are simply, talking about their experience and their exposure. If you yourself, whatever the practical exposure that you're given, if you're not able to translate and put it forward in the way it should have been put forward. So more than learning, it is how you are able to put it forward to the recruiting person. That is what matters. So yes, you can learn SAS and R, which is very much sufficient. You need to have core competency in CDISC. Without CDISC, things will not move. You need to, whatever projects you have done, you need to have firm hands-on experience. Even if someone wakes you at 2 o'clock in the morning and asks you what is the project. See, when we answer, na, sir, I have done SAS, I have learned R, I know this proc, I know that proc, I know wo. But when I say, tell me what is something that you have done in terms of therapeutic area wherein you have worked on an ADAM data set. Now you will answer ADAM. You will answer everything, but you will not be able to tell me that which therapeutic area, which guidelines that you have implemented. So it is about how you put forward your experience rather than what do you learn. Learning तो भाई सबको ही एक सा करते हैं, but वो learning का parameter और खेल कौन upgrade बढ़ाता है, it matters to, it comes to that. So whatever learning that you have done, SAS and R is sufficient. Industry standards, CDISC, SDTM, sufficient. If you have had an exposure, sufficient. But how do you put forward this exposure in front of the recruiter and make it a quality element for you? That is what matters the most. Any other questions? I think that's it for today. Then if you have any questions, you can simply write to us. You have your email IDs. Don't forget to visit our website. And I wish you all the very best. Uh, uh, and that's it. We will be in touch about your certificates of participation. You will be getting it, as Gayatri mentioned, in next 7 days. It will be an e-certificate you will be getting on your email ID. So that's it for today. I thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gayatri and Suraj, for being with me throughout the session. I know it has become almost a couple of hours, but and I had to cut down. But in the essence of time, I hate to do that. But maybe in next session, some other day, we can simply take it up. So that's it for today. I wish you all the best. Swasth raho, mast raho, zabardast raho, but padho. Thank you so much. Take care.